What's happening, Hoopheads? Welcome back to the Blind Pig podcast. As 2025 draws to a close, it felt like the right time to talk about for all of the teams and all the players across Super League basketball who are our major award frontrunners. I'm talking MVP, Coach of the Year, DPOY, Sixth Man, and our own special category for British Player of the Year. We're going to break down from the Blind Pig's perspective who's the runner-up and who are the winner of these major awards so far this season. But before we get to it, we've been blown away obviously by the support for the channel. We are on a journey to hit 500 subs, so make sure you smash the like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below who are your winners for MVP, Sixth Man, and all the other major awards. Kicking it off, we have to start with Coach of the Year. The runner-up for this award, for me, is Coach Sabonis from the London Lions. The Lions right now sit on top of the table at 11 wins and only 2 losses. And let's be honest, they have a real firm grasp on Super League basketball. They're through to the semi-finals of the SLB trophy, and I think everyone expects them to get to the finals of every major competition this year in the SLB. Coach Sabonis has been gifted with an abundance of riches. He has some of the best players, he has some amazing depth on his bench. But let's not discredit what he is doing, bringing this group together and really getting them to play well as a unit. One of the things that I've loved seeing from Coach Sabonis is just how he's holding everybody accountable, from his star players like Shavar Reynolds Jr. all the way down to Matt Goodwin on the bench. Coach Sabonis is animated and coaching from the sidelines and is part of this group. And he's a huge reason for why the London Lions have been so successful domestically this season. Personally, for me, Coach Sabonis has done what he was supposed to do. And that can be hard sometimes. It can be hard to live up to expectations. But with an 11-2 record where his only losses are to the Bristol Flyers and the Manchester Basketball, for me, Coach Sabonis is the runner-up for Coach of the Year. But the winner of the Coach of the Year, as the Blind Pig sees it, is Coach Andreas Kapoulas from the Bristol Flyers. The Flyers are a totally unrecognisable team from where they were last season. In fact, right now, they're on track to have their first winning season since the 22-23 season. That's a massive achievement. The players, actually, in terms of like the calibre, they don't necessarily feel like they've overspent to achieve success. But the camaraderie that Coach Kapoulas has grafted into this group and brought them all together is absolutely phenomenal. Now, right now in the standings, they sit in third place with a record of 8-6. But they're a team that are holding wins over London Lions, who sit in first, and the Sheffield Sharks that sit in fourth. Only that win against the Cheshire Phoenix has really evaded them or been elusive this season when facing top 4 competition in the SLB. Coach Kapoulas has adjusted from what he did last year. This team plays a lot more up-tempo, they're shooting a lot more threes. And let's be honest, it's just exciting to have fun basketball back in Bristol that can shoot and is offensively efficient. This team is also through to the SLB Trophy semi-finals where they're going to be facing the London Lions. I think a tough task ahead of them, but for me, Coach Kapoulas has done enough to be the front runner and the winner so far in 2025 of the Coach of the Year award. Our next award is the Sixth Man of the Year award, and big shout out here as an honourable mention to Jonathan Brown. Jonathan Brown is the prototypical sixth man down for the Bristol Flyers. He handles the ball well, he has shot well for most of the season, I would say. There have definitely been occasions when that shot hasn't been there and it's impacted his effectiveness. But I think honourable mention to Jonathan Brown. But for me, the runner-up of the Sixth Man of the Year award goes to Nick Kern Jr. from the Sheffield Sharks. And Nick Kern, what else can you say about him other than he is punches in bunches? Loads and loads of scoring from Nick Kern Jr., who's averaging just shy of 12 points off of the bench for the Sheffield Sharks. And it's been a team that's really needed a strong sixth man. You know, Sheffield early were down with injuries, with people like Mervyn James and Prentice Nixon not available due to injury. And what was really interesting is that coach Atiba Lyons decided not to insert Nick Kern into the starting lineup, but to keep him as part of that second unit and scoring off the bench. He's also averaging around 4.5 rebounds a game and 2.5 assists per game. But the way that he does it is unlike most people in the SLB. We've got a guard banging down in the low post and going to work on some of the smaller guards. That's partly the reason why his field goal percentage is so high, 55% from inside the arc. Now, outside of the arc, he's a little bit of an unknown. The guy just doesn't shoot them. But if his free throw percentage is anything to go by, which is below 60%, that's going to be a struggle. For me, Nick Kern Jr. has done a phenomenal job and is definitely right now in the running to be the 6th man of the year. However, the winner has to be the one and only Pat Robinson from the Cheshire Phoenix. Now, Pat Robinson has started some games from Cheshire. Ben Thomas is doing a little mix and match between Pat Robinson and LaQuincy Rideau, but I think he's come off the bench in enough games this season to qualify him for this award. And let's be honest, the guy is scorching hot as a 6th man scorer, leading the way with 18.2 points per game. And how he's doing it is absolutely phenomenal. Everybody knows that he wants to get to his left and score those little layups, those little flip shots around small guys, big guys. It does not matter to Pat Robinson. And yet he is doing it consistently. He's controlling the offense and getting the shots he wants. He's also contributing nearly 4 assists and 4 rebounds a game, whilst having a plus-minus of 42 on the season. And what you love to see from this 6th man is that he's taking his shots and doing it efficiently, shooting 63% from inside the arc. That's absolutely insane for a guard to be able to do that. Pat Robinson is exactly what you'd expect from a J.R. Smith, Lou Williams type guy. Give me Pat Robinson for the winner so far for the 6th Man of the Year award. For Super League basketball, player turnover can be super high, and I think that makes it kind of tricky sometimes when thinking about most improved. Because really for me, as a purist, what I want to see is who's improved from season to season. But at the same time, I think it's important to recognise actually who's progressed in the season itself. And for me, that's why I have Emmanuel Canway from the Newcastle Eagles as my runner-up for most improved. At the start of the season, Emmanuel Canway was an afterthought. We were just not talking about him. In terms of rotation, we were thinking about Brett Reed coming off the bench, and we were thinking about Malcolm Smith soaking up minutes at the 4, all waiting for the return of Darius DeVoe. Well, the departure of Brett Reed gave an opportunity to Emmanuel Canway. And to be honest, I think the guy's absolutely run with it. And he's had some really big breakout games. He had a great scoring game against Cheshire. He also had an awesome rebounding game against Sheffield not long ago, grabbing 13 boards. Now, Emmanuel Canway's stats are not going to blow your socks off. But in terms of what he's doing there, soaking up space from the middle, acting well defensively, doing what Mark Stutel wants, the progression that he's had from the start of the season, where he wasn't getting any time on the court, to now being the starter for the Newcastle Eagles, I think that shows just how far Manny Canway has come this season, and for me right now, he's the runner-up for the most improved player. However, there can only be one winner, and so far this season, the winner of the most improved award has to go to the Bristol Flyers and Owen McCormack. Owen McCormack played in the SLB last season, and he was very much part of the Flyers system that was there, with much more kind of ball and scoring orientated guards like Keely Johnson. However, now his stats have absolutely jumped in year 2 for Bristol. We're talking about scoring going up from 6.4 to 11.8. And what's most noticeable is the shooting splits improvement. Last year from 3, Owen McCormack was shooting 33%. This year, he's shooting over 50%. His catch and shoot threes this season have been an absolute godsend for Bristol in helping to stretch the floor and giving them an extra look and an extra weapon. He's also just stepped up as a leader for them. You can feel it and you can sense it when things get a little bit tight. It's Owen McCormack who's bringing the group together, who's making them settle down, run the plays, listen to what coach is saying. There can only be one clear winner so far for the most improved player, and that has to be Owen McCormack. Let's talk Defensive Player of the Year. Last year, Charles Thompson won the Defensive Player of the Year for the Leicester Riders, and it was really obvious that he was the winner of this award because of the impact that he had on the courts. He was obviously, someone who was deterring shots, changing shots, blocking shots. Charles Thompson was a force on the defensive ends. This year, DPOY for me is a massive struggle, man. I look around and I do not see the same calibre of individual defensive defenders that we had last season in the league. Not to say necessarily that the defending isn't as bad, but I just don't think we have kind of that force of nature that's really deterring shots and really changing shots when it comes to DPOY. That's why, I'm a little bit iffy on this one, but I had to go as a runner-up for DPOY, Matt Nicholson. And Matt Nicholson is someone who has his struggles in the SLB. Lateral quickness, not his gift. Scoring anything that's outside of 3 foot from the rim, not something you're going to ask him to do. Nicholson can do is do really well at defending the rim from close range. When he's in his drop coverage of the pick and roll, I think he's somebody who does make defenders second guess how much they're going to go into the lane and try and challenge the big 7-footer at the rim. I'm going out on a limb a little bit, but give me Matt Nicholson for the runner-up of DPOY. In terms of winner, I thought it was so thin and so bare for individuals who could win the award. I'm going to absolutely cop out here and say that the overall winner for DPOY so far this season has to be the London Lions team. As a collective unit, the London Lions are just the best defensive team. They have allowed the fewest points to be scored against them across the whole championship season. And just how aggressively they are guarding the pick and rolls, how they're switching, has been an absolute force inside the SLB, and is one of the backbones that is allowing Coach Sabonis to lead this team to their 11-2 record. I think they have athletes at every position 1 through 5, which allows for some great switchability. And for me, I've also been really impressed by the defensive presence of Ethan Price coming off the bench for London. And yeah, sometimes we often think of defending as just out on the perimeter. We often think of defending as just contesting shots that are happening at the rim, but actually the London Lions are doing a phenomenal job at the perimeter and holding their opponent's field goal percentage to some of the lowest in Super League basketball. It's an absolute cop-out, but I can't pick one of them that I would say that is the person, that is the engine room for the London Lions defence, because I genuinely believe they've all locked in and they've all bought into the defensive system that's there. Now in Super League basketball, we all have the all-British team, so we won't have to go through the pain of just crowning the one person that I think is the British Player of the Year, but I definitely think we should. Let's talk about who genuinely is the best British player, and I'm talking about British players, players who are from here, who grew up here, who play here. I'm not talking about people last year like Riley Abercrombie, for example, who has this dual nationality and technically is British because he's got a passport, but he's not really. Let's talk about proper British players. For me, the runner-up of the British Player of the Year award has to be Amin Adamu. And again, opportunity meets hard work for Adamu. This season, when Shavar Reynolds Jr. went down early with an injury, Adamu has been pushed into a role that he wasn't necessarily envisioning playing at the start of the season, being the point guard for the London Lions. And he's done it really, really well, man. He's averaging just shy of 10 points a game, and his shooting splits this season so far have been really, really positive. Overall, shooting 55% from the field and around 50% from 3 as well. Again, he's lefty, he's athletic, you wouldn't expect it, but he's shooting the 3 ball really, really well for the London Lions this season. Again, I think if he continues to have the opportunity, his hard work will continue to pay off. And right now, I have Amin Adamu as my runner-up for the British Player of the Year. For my winners so far of British Player of the Year, I have to give it, though, to Manchester Basketball's own Kayam Cleary, just a kid from Gorton. The guy is scoring really, really well for Manchester Basketball, scoring around 13.5 points a game, while shooting around 55% from inside the arc from 2-point lands. Now, his 3-point shot has not fallen as consistently as we would have liked this season. He's averaging around 30% from 3. But part of that is the guy is a tough shot taker and a tough shot maker. And sometimes he convinces himself, I think, a little bit too much that he can make every shot from 3. And the pure elevation this guy has on his jump shot is absolutely insane. The guy looks like Kevin Durant when he's going to score. Now, he has an awesome free throw percentage. He's shooting 94% from the foul line and a plus-minus of 62 on the season. Kayam Cleary represents everything that's great about British basketball. A tough, hard-nosed defender and an athletic shot maker on the offensive ends. Give me Kayam Cleary as the standout runaway winner so far for the British Player of the Year awards. And let's make this a thing, SLB. You know, do the all-British team if you want to, but I want to know who's the best Brit inside the league. That only leaves us with the most valuable player. And I will chuck out an honourable mention here to Joel Scott. Now, Joel Scott obviously is significantly injured. He's going to be out till around sort of end of February, March time. If Joel Scott did not get injured, he would be the MVP frontrunner and winner. However, I don't think he's going to play enough games. I didn't think it was right to say that he was the winner for like the first portion of the season, when knowing that he couldn't win this award long term. But Joel Scott is inside the top 10 of scoring of Super League basketball, and he's an absolute matchup nightmare for every team across the league. He was their consistent safety option. When they needed the bucket down in the crunch, it was give it to Joel Scott on the post. And the way defences were adjusting to how he'd been played, like what other player commands a double team the same way that Joel Scott does? Absolutely gutted that he's injured, and for me deserves to be an honourable mention when thinking about the MVP. I have my runner-up as MVP though as Rodney Chapman III from the Sheffield Sharks. And let's not forget, this is a guy who's just a couple months removed away from not being able to play basketball due to an injury. He was rehabbing essentially all of this year up until September to try and get that knee to be right. Rodney Chapman has returned to MVP form. He's scoring around 16 points per game with around 4 rebounds and 4.5 assists. And again, with people down, Prentice Nixon out, Mervyn James not yet returned, a lot was put on the shoulders of Rodney Chapman III, and he answered the call. When you think about someone who's really valuable for their team, Rodney Chapman absolutely embodies that in terms of having to direct the offense and being a leader out on the court. He can do a little bit of everything, some where he's had to be the scorer and score 35 points on a night, others where he has to dish out loads and loads of assists to his teammates. Whatever is asked of Rodney Chapman III, he delivers. He really is the runner-up for the MVP for me. However, there can only be one winner, and I think the winner has to be Raekwon Battle from the Leicester Riders. And think about where Leicester was when they started their season 0-5, and I was definitely sounding the panic alarms. Duke Shelton had just been released and was, fighting with the club. There was loads of shit happening in Leicester. Raekwon Battle has totally changed the trajectory of their season. Right now, Raekwon Battle leads the league in scoring with over 22 points a game. That's more than 4 points clear than the next active SLB player. And his shooting splits are absolutely phenomenal as well. Just shy of 60% from inside the 2-point arc and 44% from 3-point lands. And the shots he's taken are fucking ridiculous. Absolutely mind-blowing. Leicester as a whole haven't had a phenomenal season in terms of where they are so far in the championship standings. And I think, it's tough. I did have a little bit of a debate between, can you reward someone for being the MVP if their team isn't seeing the success that necessarily we would expect? However, the way that they've changed the Riders' fortunes this season, I think it's fair to give that award to Raekwon Battle. And it's just showcased by how much his teammates are relying on him in late shot clock situations to really save them, to bail them out. Here's a grenade, go and score. And he delivers more often than not. I think the Leicester Riders need more if they want to see success this season, particularly as they've been knocked out of the trophy already. So we're talking about the Cup and in the playoffs. But I believe that Raekwon Battle has probably single-handedly changed the fate of the season so far. And he's doing it really, really well for the Leicester Riders squad. Give me Raekwon Battle as this season's MVP so far in 2025. And there we go. That's how the Blind Pig sees the awards so far this Super League basketball season, running into the end of 2025. But there's no way everybody agrees with me, so make sure you comment down below and let me know who your award winners are so far this season. We're going to read every comment and we're going to let you know when we think you're wrong as well. Catch you in the next one, guys. Peace.